This is the Mosen Mortgage Program with Sarah Mosen. Mosen Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550. And now, here's your host, Sarah Mosen.
Great to be back here again, folks, and it is Thursday. Please keep the calls coming. As I've said, I do enjoy the conversations and questions that you have. We are here to get you financially fit before the new year, and rates are at 60-year lows. So just ask the question and find out whether we can save you $500 a month, $300 a month. As I was saying earlier on in the week, Pat, we managed to help one of our listeners save approximately $500 a month on their mortgage payment.
Fantastic.
And the savings for the 30-year term, the life of the loan when you do the calculations, $170,000.
My gosh, you could practically buy another house with that. My golly. So, gee whiz. Folks, if you've been thinking about it and you've been listening to Sarah and I, oh my gosh, take a little action. Give Sarah a call at 1-800-662-9550. What Sarah just shared, that is, she's done that a lot. A lot. She has been able to save people lots of money, not only monthly, but when you look at the long term, and often cuts down the length of the loan significantly, so you can start to breathe again and you can do some other things that you've dreamed about doing. And Sarah, one of my favorite subjects is on our little talking points today called Fixer-Uppers. Mm-hmm. And my husband and I, we bought a home when we were engaged to be married. We saved enough so we could put enough down, and we bought a little house that was reasonably solidly built, but it certainly was a fixer-upper, and it ended up working out very well for us. We lived in it for 5 years before we started our family, and we actually were able to sell it and make some pretty good money on it.
Well, it's great to be in a position where you you fall in love with a house and you are living in it and you want to do renovations. Here's the thing, Pat, what's interesting, because I'm really glad you brought this up. When you're purchasing a home with the way lending guidelines are now, you certainly want to make sure that the house is in good condition. Because, again, as I've said, we keep you informed and updated on where lending guidelines are, so that when you're looking to purchase a home, our wholesale lenders, like any other lenders for that matter, want the home to be complete. And if there are any incomplete portions, let's say it's under construction, then they need to be completed in order to get financed. So what I've said to folks is what may look like a bargain may end up becoming a money pit as well. And therefore, inspections are always recommended when you do look at purchasing a home. Our advantages, however, is that we give you that very low down payment, that 3.5% loan payment, down payment, with scores that don't necessarily have to be 800 scores, but 600 or 580 scores. But folks may want to renovate. I had a girlfriend of mine who said to me, "I'm looking to move, but I love the neighborhood that I live in, and I love the school district, but the house is simply too small because I'm having a third child." And these are all things that we take into account for, making sure our family's needs are taken care of. So in that scenario, I said, you're living in this house that you absolutely love. Why don't you just refinance and take some money out of the home, get some cash out of the home, so that you can actually not only reduce the interest rate, but take that cash after you refinance with us and put it towards renovating the house, building an addition. And she said, that makes so much sense, Sarah, because at the end of the day, moving, finding another house, spending money on getting that whole thing moving would be just a nightmare. And it would be also very unsettling for the family.
For sure, Sarah. That was great advice you gave her. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you.
No. Please do. Please do. It's just a question of having sort of a different sort of view on what your options are. Because sometimes you're kind of immersed in a situation. I know when I was a writer, for years I used to be in communications. I worked as a political aide and I wrote speeches, etc. So for me, when I would write, I would always make sure there was a second or a third person reading what I had written, so that they could at least give me some advice from another perspective. And that's what we're about when it comes to financial fitness, because when you're looking at your debt, when you're trying to figure out why am I not meeting those goals and why am I not having any money left over from my paycheck, and you're on this terrible treadmill, you're maybe not getting that second or third perspective. And that's where I come in, because I can literally give you the facts, break down the numbers, show you where your money is going. And 99% of the time, Pat, it's going to 5 or 8 credit cards that folks are having to pay on with 18 to 20% interest rates. And those credit cards can at any point say, we're not going to let you use that account anymore. We're going to close that account because you're at the maximum, which can further hurt your credit.
Sarah, you just made me think of something as we were talking about fixer-uppers. And I have a friend that just bought a fixer-upper in California, and he calls it a bread and butter house. Have you ever heard that expression?
I haven't.
And that's what I said. What is a bread and butter house? And then I said, and it just shows you, how we have different cultures right here within our country. And I said, what is a bread and butter house? And he said, well, it's just sort of a simple, basic, and I need to do some things to it. And I said, so like a ranch or a bungalow? He goes, oh, no, I don't have horses. And I said, no, I didn't mean a ranch or a bungalow here in Boston in the Northeast. There's, like a one-level house. It's nice. It's just when I was growing up, my family lived in one for a few years there. So, but it just made me realize he had not heard that terminology, ranch or bungalow. And I'm not talking a ranch in Colorado with 3 dozen horses, right. My golly. And I had never heard the term bread and butter house. So there you go. So if there are people listening within the sound of our voices that have heard this, I'd love to get an email from you about a bread and butter house, or maybe, another terminology that you have heard used in reference to real estate that may be in another part of the country that we just have different terms.
There are different terms. That one I haven't heard of, so you learn something new every day.
There you go. Now, come on now. It can be a hoagie or a submarine sandwich, right? Or it's fascinating, the different cultures we have within the culture of America here.
Absolutely.
So,
it is. You're forever learning, and that's the wonderful thing about life. I'll tell you what, with what we do in finance, one of the great things is that, yes, there's a lot of there's an emotional connection to folks in the financial decisions they make. So when we present a situation, we are empathetic, sympathetic, and very much also factual, so that you have options. And I know that some things are difficult where you're dealing with situations where maybe a relationship has broken down, or there's unhappiness in a family because of loans that were co-signed, etc. Remember, that stuff is fixable. Your relationships should last forever, long term, and your finances can be fixed so that you can survive the breakdown of any marriage or any relationship with your child or friend. I really say to folks, it's important to focus on what really is important, and the rest of it is just temporary.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Sarah. And we have seen the statistics on one of the main reasons that marriages break up is because of finances. And, if there are couples within the sound of our voices right now that are feeling hopeless and they think that that's the only thing to do, please take a look at every possible avenue that you can. There is nothing that can't be fixed, and Sarah has heard and seen it all, and she never judges. Give her a phone call, and you just really might be pleasantly surprised. And I don't even want to use the word might, because Sarah, you have done remarkable things for folks, and once they become transparent and they lay everything out, a lot of times it's not as bad as they thought. And at worst, you can put them on a path of repairing anything that needs to be repaired. And actually, Marita is saying, okay, this is all good, but it's time to wind down. So Let me just again remind folks to go to Mosen Mortgage Facebook, and you'll see some powerful testimonies on how Mosen Mortgage has just changed people's lives in such a positive manner. Or call them 24/7. It's a free phone call, 1-800-662-9550.
Stay well, folks.
This has been the Mosen Mortgage Program with Sarah Mosen. Mosen Mortgage is licensed in several states for residential and commercial purchases and refinancing. Call 800-662-9550.